Alright, and the first match of the night that I honestly have no cares about. It's going to be the Intercontinental Champion, Luke Harper, going up against Dolph Ziggler in a ladder match. This match, of course, was announced on the December 14th edition of SmackDown. Santino Marella, who was the GM of the night running things, basically saw the attack of Luke Harper and Dolph Ziggler, and basically decided that if these guys are going to be fighting and using the ladder involved in their fights, then basically this needs to become a ladder match in order to try and bring some more sort of prestige to the TLC event. Honestly, in my mind, you think about Dolph Ziggler. He was the ultimate survivor, the only survivor from the Team Cena versus Team Authority match at Survivor Series. They sort of looked at that as a huge rub for him, even though that it really all boiled down to Sting versus Triple H. Sting coming down and nobody really knowing why he stuck his nose into Triple H's business, but basically making it where Triple H had to leave. At the end of the day, I can't even remember what knocked out Dolph Ziggler. I don't know if it was a pedigree from Triple H, or I don't even know why Seth Rollins was knocked out and he was laying over in the corner, because that stare down between Triple H and Sting was forever. And to the point of where just nobody moved, nobody got up, nobody got out of the way. And Sting was able to just grab Seth Rollins, roll him over, put Dolph Ziggler on top. Of course, Ziggler walked out on the Slammies. He was the guy who received the Slammy Award, and he said that he was honored to receive the award, but he believed that it should go to all the fans out there who are rooting along for Team Cena. Ziggler really got screwed on the way to that match, and that was sort of the build-up of what was going on. If you joined Team Cena, you were in very, very big trouble. Basically, you were in a great danger of losing your job with WWE, because that was the main stipulation, was that all members of Team Cena, if they had lost, would have been fired, excluding John Cena, because of how much he meant to the company, and there was still money to be made with him, but they could have cut anybody else and not really mattered. And basically, when it comes down to it, with the even Steven booking that WWE uses for a lot of things, you could see that a lot of guys like Dolph Ziggler and a lot of the mid-card guys don't really matter, because basically they'll put them in a match on Monday Night Raw against somebody, and basically they just do the same match again on SmackDown, and if they find anything going on with that, they'll just do the same match again on Monday Night Raw again, just trading wins back and forth at the end of the day, where just nobody gains any momentum on anybody else, and it sort of like leaves you in a spot of like, well, who's your next big star? Because we've seen all of these guys wrestle each other, and we've seen them all trade wins back and forth. It's never like this guy has never been able to win the big one against this guy. They've never really built that story up to the point where you have to see Royal Rumble, because we've never seen. Seth Rollins has been in 1,000 matches. It'd be easier if I used other guys instead of using the guys on there, because somebody would probably pull up in the comments basically saying, oh, these guys fought at this one and that guy won. If you think about Tommy Dreamer versus Raven, they had 1,000 matches in ECW, and all of those matches were really legendary and really, really great. But the one thing that everybody remembers is that Tommy Dreamer was never able to beat Raven. And it was just always like he would be able to beat him up and beat him up and beat him up, and never be able to get that 1-2-3 over Raven. Never be able to get that victory that he got his hand raised and was able to sort of build off of everything that was involved in that storyline. Finally, one day before Raven had left to go to WCW, Tommy Dreamer got that big win, and it was like him stepping up and taking that brass ring that everybody talks around in WWE. So they never are able to build that big storyline of these guys have had so many matches, because basically they'll let one guy win on Raw, they'll let the other guy win on the rematch, and then the next thing you know, we're left in this who cares sort of thing. Ziggler, to get out of that whole deal that just didn't really make any sense after I'm all done. Once he joined the Team Cena and made it known that he was going to be sticking with them, and he wanted to be the guy who took the Authority down, they made it a point to sort of rub it in his face that they were going to beat him up and take his job away. They basically took his Intercontinental Championship. Luke Harper defeated him on a match on Monday Night Raw, and since then he's been walking around with the Intercontinental Championship. Luke Harper, in my mind, is one of the worst looking Intercontinental Champions that I've ever seen. To me, that belt means so much. I think we talked about this a few shows ago, going over one of the Ziggler matches. just talking about how much prestige that belt had as I was a kid, whether if it was Mr. Perfect, Bret Hart, Texas Tornado, British Bulldog, all those guys in that sort of time period, you knew that if they had the Intercontinental Championship, that was the biggest stepping stone to them becoming the next big thing. Luke Harper, I'm a big fan of this guy. I love his big boot. I love his clothesline inside of the ring. Those crazy eyes work for him. He reminds me of one of my dad's friends that got real drunk and got crazy a lot. I'll leave his name out of the conversation. But basically, when I look at Luke Harper, he's the guy that I think of as one of my dad's friends. And if this guy got drunk and got loose into a WWE ring, this is basically what would happen. I don't really see Luke Harper as a real Intercontinental Champion. I think of him basically as a guy who's a stepping stone for Ziggler to get the belt back. I'm hoping for the best here. Ladder matches either are really good or they're really bad. I've never really seen a ladder match that's been somewhere in the middle. I'm really hoping, now that I'm looking at his eyes, he reminds me of Jason Lee on My Name is Earl as well. So I'm getting a lot of vibes off of him. But basically, I'm hoping that, the Wyatts, when they split up, Eric Rowan, I gotta wish that guy all the best. He's gonna be talking about him in his Big Show match sooner than later on this deal. But the Wyatt split came out of the middle of nowhere. There were some talks about them getting some sort of a diva and adding to the group. Maybe we find out who Sister Abigail is, but he joins Team Authority. He says he's the team player. When he took out Dolph Ziggler on that edition of Monday Night Raw at the very, very end and threw him at the feet of Stephanie McMahon and Triple H, I really thought that maybe he would be sort of a guy that was, clarifying that he was a heel, but I was really surprised that he put them inside of that match. The fact that we've seen Rowan and we've seen Harper go at it, basically inside of the Survivor Series match. We've seen them, have a match on Monday Night Raw. They're really blowing off what could have been a really good feud with what was killing off the Wyatts. I've never really seen them split a faction, have these guys have matches, and not have the matches really mean anything in the end. So I don't know what the grand scheme is for the Wyatts. I know that they're keeping them all in their same clothes, they're all in their same attire, and their same deal. Maybe if this doesn't work, as them all going in separate ways as singles, maybe that Bray hypnotizes these guys again and brings them all back together. But the one thing I know is that TLC in that ladders match is that basically Ziggler's going to be getting his belt back. And honestly, in my mind, I think there's a lot of other people that I wish that Ziggler was having this ladder match against. Ziggler has always come up big in a lot of stipulation matches and a lot of pay-per-view matches. He's great on Monday Night Raw. He's great on main event. He's great on Superstars. He does the most with whatever they give him. So I'm wishing the best for him. I think he's going to have a great match, and hopefully he'll walk out with the Intercontinental Championship. That's basically all I have to say about this one. So we're going to cut this segment short, and we'll go on to the next match in the next one.